It's Street Talk. Conversations with state and community leaders about the latest news on transportation, regional planning, and transit for Middle Tennessee.
Well, there's not any one fix for improving mobility in Middle Tennessee. It takes a lot of different components. Hi, I'm Ken Moore, Mayor of the City of Franklin, Tennessee. Well, in the past 20 years, actually, we've been growing at about 2,000 people a year. So we've become a destination for people to live, work, raise their families, start their businesses, or move their corporations. At the same time, we've seen a significant uptick in tourism. So basically what that translates into, a lot of people, a lot more traffic, and a lot more demands on our infrastructure. Well, we have three big challenges moving forward. First of all is housing. We don't have enough housing for our workforce. It's too expensive. And so 70% of our workers come in from outside. The second thing is because we have workers coming in, it creates a traffic problem. So transportation issues and other related infrastructure issues are really, really big. And lastly, workforce. We had predicted years ago that we would have more jobs than we had workforce by 2040. With the pandemic, that kind of changed the whole dynamic. So we're experiencing more demand for workforce now than we ever have. Of course, one of the reasons Williamson County and Franklin is so successful because we have such a skilled workforce, such a highly educated workforce, where over 70% of our population has a college degree, and many of those have advanced degrees. So we're very, very blessed as far as talent. Well, there's not any one fix for improving mobility in Middle Tennessee. It takes a lot of different components. As far as community design, we want to be designing a community that's more walkable, where people will live closer to where they work. That's a help to solve infrastructure problems. Certainly there's always going to be the demand to lay more pavement, but laying more pavement isn't the answer either. We have to get more people using alternatives such as buses, other means of transportation that we don't really know what they are going forward, but there are going to be new ones with autonomous vehicles. We need to make more sidewalks, more trails to get people out of their cars. And I think that's going to happen. It's just not happening, I think, as fast as many of us would like, just because that's the Southern culture. We like our cars. I've been a great participant in regional initiatives. And the reason I am, because I think it's a solution. You can't solve the problems unless you do work regionally. I know when companies relocate here, they're not looking at the boundary lines for Franklin, Tennessee. They're not looking at the county line. They're looking for the entire region, of what the entire region offers them. So I have been had the opportunity to serve on the Regional Transit Authority, which has to do with the bus transportation from many corridors in our area. I serve on the Transportation Policy Board, which determines how to spend federal money on transportation, which is more than just roads. It's also other alternative forms of transportation. I serve on the Greater Nashville Regional Council, which has a lot to do with pass-through money from the federal government to the region. I serve as chair of the Mayor's Caucus. I was just on a call this morning with the executive committee of that group. There are about 70 mayors. We represent about 2 million people. So whenever we start talking about an issue, it's great because everybody's able to share their ideas. And what's important is that all of us kind of have the same issue. We see the infrastructure needs. We see the challenges moving forward. And so that way we can work to solve those issues. Well, there is a major transportation plan for the region. I think you're quite correct in that it hasn't really addressed the southern corridor as in much detail as we'd like to see at this point. I think that with the change in leadership in Nashville, which is going to happen, we're going to see an increased effort as far as continuing to build regional transportation solutions. Well, we're going to be participating to make sure that that southern connection happens. In fact, we've done a study through the Greater Nashville Regional Council and TDOT called the Southern Corridor Study, which outlines some of the possibilities looking into the future. We have to find solutions moving forward. Otherwise, we're going to be in gridlock. All the studies show that our region is going to continue to grow. Williamson County is going to double in the next 25 years. Franklin's going to nearly double in the next 25 years. Lots happening in our region. If we don't address it now, we're going to be in gridlock. So it's important that we look at the entire region and try to find those solutions. And there's not one solution at all. It's many, many solutions, as I've spoken to before. Certainly, we're going to be looking at technology. We're already looking at it here in our community as far as adaptive signal control. In other words, the signals respond to the amount of traffic. That's a new technology. We see smart corridor going on I-24. That's a tech solution also. But we have to be able to carry more people other than just one person, one car. And certainly the cars that are smart cars or cars that have all that software on board. We already see that they're going to be hooked up to various networks along the roads. But still the solution lies in less people getting in their single occupancy vehicle. And we have to look at some of those transit solutions. And those transit solutions, as far as mass transit, we have to be able to get people there faster than what they can get there in their car. That's when transit's going to pop. We have to make our communities more walkable. We have to create, and we do this in Franklin. We every time we build a road, we put a bike lane in there. We put sidewalks in. We create trail systems just to give people those alternatives. And as we design our community, we're very, very sensitive to making sure that there are mixed-use developments that not only have residential living in various forms, but also services that you would need so that you don't have to get in your car and drive a mile to get a gallon of milk or to pick up your dry cleaning and those things. Everything underneath the sun as far as getting you somewhere. It may include your feet. It may include your hands driving a vehicle. It may mean that you're sitting on a bus with Wi-Fi and you're relaxed listening to music. It may be some type of new smart technology with smart vehicles. It covers all those things. It's important that we establish those connections between communities. For example, making a connection between Nashville and Franklin. We're the only corridor that has an equal in and out. We have as many people leaving Williamson County going to Nashville every day that leave Davidson County coming to Williamson County. Not true for any other county. The most important thing is that we have to make sure that we create a robust system in Nashville and a robust system in Franklin so that when people make that route from Nashville to Franklin or Franklin to Nashville, that they're able to make that connection and quickly get to where they want to be. So that's why Franklin Transit Authority is so important, is that that's the bones for a future network to get people around our community in a faster way without them having to get in their car. If we had a bullet train from Franklin to Nashville right now, it would fail, just because the systems on both ends aren't robust enough to handle what needs to happen when the people get off that bullet train. Well, actually, I think the Music City Star has regained much of the ridership that we lost during the pandemic. And I think in that Southern Corridor study I referenced, we've looked at commuter rail, which would involve us using CSX's tracks There are lots of things that CSX would want. That's an option. We've looked at bus on shoulder, and we've also looked at light rail. But I think there's a new factor that's been introduced with the Transportation Modernization Act by the General Assembly, and that these choice lanes, as Commissioner Ely likes to call them, open up the opportunity for free commuter bus to be on those. So that could actually create what I was saying a minute ago. You got to get there faster than you can in your own car. So that's a very optimistic thing in my mind, and that's a great step forward as far as continuing to build this transportation system. You know, I wasn't on the board whenever the Franklin Transit Authority started, but I think it was the vision of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen saying we need to get people around our community. And that's not a problem for many people in our community. You know, they have a car, they can walk, but there are a lot of people that ride the Franklin Transit that if it wasn't for the Franklin Transit, they wouldn't be able to get to the doctor's office or the grocery store or wherever they were going, just because of handicaps they have. It may be because of court-ordered limitations on their activity and so on. So I think the board at that time had a great vision, just like I like to say that Franklin has great visions, and people from all over the state look at Franklin for what we're doing. Well, I think all of us want to stay in our homes as long as we can. And this is one of those factors that allows seniors, people with disabilities, to be able to get out in the community and interact with people, which is such an important part of being a human being, is those interactions we have with other people. I remember the first time I ever rode the Franklin Transit Authority, I met a man in there that had a thriving business. He was blind. And I said, I get it. This guy cannot do his work unless he has Franklin Transit Authority. You know, I met people that had gone through drug court. They didn't have a license. And part of the requirements was that they worked. And for them to be able to get to that job was critical. So there are many, many different people that ride the Franklin Transit Authority. And so kudos to that board that had that vision back then. Well, I love the Transportation Management Association. They've done a great job. They run our Franklin Transit Authority, but also they run other programs. And one of their most important programs they're doing now is the van pool, which is a great opportunity for people to come together and share a van and share costs as far as transportation to go to their work. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that as time evolves. Well, you're exactly right. It's a regional program. It's not a program specific to Franklin. It's a program that can involve a business in Smyrna, where there's a cohort of people in Franklin that work in Smyrna, or it may be a cohort in Murfreesboro that need to work in Franklin, or maybe some of the manufacturing plants in other areas where there's a cohort of people that would come together. You know, a lot of our manufacturing here in Franklin, people come from the south of us. And so I know there's several van pools that originate south of Franklin and come into Franklin to those manufacturing areas. I have a great vision, but I think I get that vision from seeing the studies that are being done. We're going to continue to be an economic driver for the state of Tennessee. We're going to continue to attract people that want to work and live here and raise their family here. We're going to continue to attract corporations that want their headquarters here because of the talented work pool we have. But I also vision that Franklin will continue to be a leader in many things in addition to transportation, whether we're talking about our solid waste programs and how we're using technology to help those services, or whether we're talking about our water reclamation facility, which is one of the first in the country to use new technology, or whether we're talking about our water plant, which again is probably the most sophisticated water plant in the Southeast, or whether it's just talking about how we're planning for the future, long range. We're talking about capital projects for the next 10 years and how we're going to fund them. We're visioning a plan to continue to keep Franklin that place where people want to live, work, and raise their family and worship. And at the same time, we're measuring how are we doing. And we look forward to continue to be a leader, not only in our Middle Tennessee area, but across the state for things that we're doing that cast a great vision on how to continue to build a great community.
It's Street Talk. Conversations with state and community leaders about the latest news on transportation, regional planning, and transit for Middle Tennessee.